The house is almost invisible from the road. Lime-washed stone behind a thicket of cypress and oleander, a green door sun-faded to the color of sea glass. The locals call it the singer's house, though no one sings there. In late afternoons, the light turns thin and white, and the cicadas vibrate in the trees, and a boy with copper hair runs along the terrace, shouting to gulls as if he could teach them words. If you like the video, play subscribe and comment. Inside, Barış watches him through the open kitchen window. The kettle rattles. He turns off the flame, sets 2 cups beside a plate of simmet, and looks up again. The boy is on tiptoe now, hands hooked over the terrace wall, peering down toward the cove. He turns, eyes bright, and the breath leaves Barış in a rush that still surprises him. 3 years into fatherhood and awe hasn't dulled. Love, he thinks, is just a different kind of oxygen. Baba, the boy calls. Gel, a boat! A boat? Barış wipes his hands on a towel. How big? Very giant, the boy declares, arms wide enough to gather the horizon. From the hallway, laughter floats in like a light scarf. Elçin leans against the doorframe with her hair pulled into a careless knot and flour dusted across one cheek. Very giant, He's a reliable narrator, Barış says. He passes her a cup. I used to be one, too, says the man who's forgotten we have neighbors 2 fields away who own exactly 1 fishing skiff. That's an insult to the definition of giant. We'll ask him to cite his sources. They carry their tea to the terrace. The sea yawns open, turquoise stitched with dark seams where it deepens. Along the bony coastline, houses crouch like folded hands. Farther out, a gull dips and rises, its shadow slipping over water. Their son, named Deniz because it was the only name that felt inevitable, points at a dark dot moving toward the cove. Boat, he insists. Giant. Yes, my captain, Barış says solemnly. Permission to sound the alarm? Deniz bangs an imaginary bell, solemnity cracking into giggles. He is small but runs like an argument, fast, insistent, impossible to ignore. His shirt sticks to his back with heat. 3 damp curls cling to his forehead. He pauses, tilts his head, and the exact shape of his mouth when he is curious pierces Barış because it is a shape he recognizes from years before the boy existed, on a different face, in a different light. Bread? Deniz asks, already climbing onto a chair to sneak a piece. With the seeds? Always with the seeds, Elçin says and winks, and it's a domestic magic trick. How wink can smuggle in entire years of survival and choice. The kettle quiets. The cicadas do not. For a moment the world is only this, a terrace scrubbed with salt. A child's insistence that every boat is giant. The sound of someone you love cutting bread with a serrated knife, careful not to wake the day. Barış drinks and tastes pepper and sun. He tries not to think about the other world, the one with cameras at every curb, whispered inventories of who was where and when. He tries not to think about city glass, made soft by rain, where his reflection once matched the posters behind shop windows. Him again, him multiplied. He tries not to think about the woman in those posters' margins, the one who is not here and does not know about this house, this boy, this bright corner of happiness he is learning to hold without apology. Daddy, Deniz says, very serious now. If we catch the giant boat, can we keep it? If it is kind, Barış says. And if its parents say yes. Boats he knows return to harbors. Secrets he has learned are different. They do not return to anything. They make their own weather. He reaches for the bread and breaks a piece into 2 equal halves and gives one to Denise, who nods as if a bargain has been struck. Beside him, Elchin sits and leans her head on his shoulder, and the day finds its balance again, as sure as a keel. There are days they call their history by its proper names, and days they call it by pet names so soft they vanish when spoken. On paper, their story could be arranged chronologically. 2 actors who learned their beats together on set, 2 people whose banter, filmed and edited and scored, taught strangers to root for them. 2 professionals who parted ways to prove they could be more than what audiences wanted. 1 marriage, his, 1 career high, hers. The slow, quiet return to a friendship that felt inevitable and dangerous at once. In memory, it's never linear. It's a handful of moments flickering like fish in sun. A rented apartment where the AC clanked. A rehearsal where a laugh escaped at the wrong line. A winter morning when the ferry's whistle was a whole choir. The night they decided not to be cowards and then decided to be careful. The agreement formed without ceremony. No announcements. No shared selfies. Nothing for the internet to bless or bruise. Work remained work, public, curated, unavoidably visible. Life, this life, moved like contraband through the city, messy and precious and never photographed. They rented the Coast House under a pseudonym. It had been a painter's place once, so light collects there like something that is owed. They brought 2 suitcases, a small mocha pot, 3 mismatched mugs, and a list titled Things No One Can Know, which included everything that mattered. On the 3rd evening, as waves flopped against rock and evening stitched the sky to the sea, Elchin told him she was late. He said, "Late where?" She laughed. The kind of laugh you make when breath is a toy someone else invented. The kind that makes you a child and a parent at once. He was quiet. Not because he doubted. Because something as big as a new planet had slid into orbit, and he wanted to be very certain he wouldn't wobble the universe with clumsy words. When he finally spoke, it was with both hands on the table, palms down, grounding himself. "Okay?" he said. "Okay, okay?" She searched his face like a map. "Yes," he said. "If this is happening, we will make a life that is ours." They did not draw up contingencies that night. They did not call lawyers or publicists. They didn't even finish their dinner. They went to the cove and let the cold water speak first. Later in bed, they whispered what-ifs until morning stratified into its proper elements. Sunlight, bread, news they did not read, a list of supplies to buy in town scribbled in pencil. When the boy came, red and small and furious at the heir's audacity, they stayed inside for 4 weeks. Friends texted and asked vague questions and received vague answers. Work paused. The house shrank to the size of the beat between a breath in and a breath out. The village seabells told morning, noon, evening. Their new calendar chimed different hours. Feed, sleep, try, cry, laugh when crying turns to laughter without warning. It felt criminal, the joy. Not because it was wrong, but because it was so undeservedly free of witnesses. No lines to deliver except the ones whispered to a half-moon ear. No hair and makeup call times. No careful statements crafted to feed the comment section's endless appetite. Just the work of two people learning the geometry of a tiny being who had added an extra corner to their hearts. "Will we hide forever?" she asked him once, in the blue 3 a.m., when the boy's fist had unclenched and his eyelids fluttered with small private dreams. "Not forever," he said. "Just long enough for this to belong to us before the world tries naming it." He thought of the city waiting like a stage. He thought of his past, of vows made publicly, of a door closed before a camera flash, of signatures and a ring and the soft, unglamorous daily work of kindness that had, in a season of their lives, not been enough to matter in the way they hoped. He thought of how words like first and former turn people into parentheses. He did not want that for anyone, not for the woman who had once been his wife, not for the woman sleeping beside him, not for the boy curled like punctuation on her chest. "We'll tell the truth," he said. "Just not in the language they expect." Chapter 3. City Shadows. Even secrets need groceries. On Thursdays, one of them would go into town. Sometimes both, never together. Sunglasses, a hat, shoulders rounded in the exact posture that says I am hiding something without saying what. They became fluent in invisibility. One crowded noon in Katakoi, he was recognized anyway. It happens like weather. You're dry, then you're wet. A young barista did a double take, then didn't. He handed over the coffee and said absolutely nothing, which is how you know someone truly sees you. "Abi," the barista finally murmured when the rush thinned. "Whatever it is, you look good." Barış tipped him too much and walked out feeling taller, and then sat in his car and shook. Because kindness is sometimes the noisiest thing you can offer a person who lives in a world built of noise. Later, at home, he told the story. Waiting until after Deniz's bath when their boy insisted on bellowing the alphabet forward and then backward as if it were a sea shanty. "Am I good?" he asked, drying a bowl slowly when he'd finished describing the barista's soft-eyed mercy. "You're tired," she said. "And you are very, very good. Is he good?" he asked, nodding at the baby monitor where a small sock-like foot was a white square in dim light. "He's the best thing the sea ever washed up." They smiled into the quiet. The dishwater cooled. A moth performed its hopeless ballet against the window screen. They looked like any tired parents anywhere. If anyone had knocked then, anyone at all, they would have opened the door and said, "Yes, here we are, hungry and grateful and ordinary." No one knocked. Thank you, guys.